very much. I appreciate it. Did that scare you, that whole talk of statistics and theoretical mathematics? You're thinking, oh, this is going to be long and boring. But I hope you don't feel that's the case. Is this on? Do I have it on here? You can hear me, yes? Everyone can hear me? I kind of wander a little bit, so I'll try not to do that too much. But what a pleasure and an honor to be back here at Auburn. I was here from 1980 to 1984, my undergraduate degree. COSAM didn't exist, by the way. I was at the School of Arts and Sciences, I think. And as I walked around last night when I got in, last time I was here was about 3 years ago for an Auburn-Georgia game. And it's changed even since then. I was afraid I was going to get lost and I couldn't be able to find my way back to the hotel. Real quickly, it's so wonderful not only to be at Auburn, but to be in the South again. I live up in Philadelphia, which is where the University of Pennsylvania is located. But we have some friends who graduated from the University of Georgia in our neighborhood. I know. They're nice people, but they, went to the long school. But we decided about 4 or 5 years ago, this is the first time really our kids were getting old enough, we ought to go. We need to go down and actually watch the game in person. So we've been trying to go every year. The first time we went back, and my folks live down here, so I come down here to visit, but you just forget just the Southern hospitality. So the first game we came to, it was in Athens, and it was a night game. So you can imagine what that means. And my husband and I are not sitting with our friends. And here we are now, orange and blue, and the sea of red and black, right? And some of these games, back and forth and back and forth. I think the final score was 42-40. So lots of scoring, and every time Auburn would score, War Eagle. Finally, the fella next to me said, "You can cheer for Auburn if you want to." We won't hurt you. I said, I live in Philly. There was no way. But it was so, and after the game, it happened to be that Auburn won. We're walking out the stadium, and people are coming up to me. Y'all played a good game. Y'all played it like I was out on the field or something. Loved it, and so I'm just so thankful and really appreciate y'all letting me talk to you. When I was contacted by Dr. Wooten to come and speak, she said, give an inspirational talk about your journey, and I'm thinking, I wish I could tell you that I had planned what I was going to do when I was here at Auburn. I had no idea what I was going to do. Thus, this title, a stochastic approach, that's a little math humor. Stochastic means random or probabilistic, meaning things happen in your life that you just can't even imagine today, wherever you are in your life. Where I am in my life as a 47-year-old, right? We can't really predict what's going to happen. So what I want to talk about today is, just real quickly, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, or 4 minutes maybe, I'll try to keep it short, of my personal path, just sort of some of the highlights, particularly how things happen I never thought would happen. The benefits, really, of what I think the Auburn education gave me, a couple of points about that, and then I want to talk about what I think, and I promised to be thinking, okay, now it's 4 o'clock for that, but I promised I'll keep it to 20 minutes or so. Ways to optimize your goals despite the uncertainty. So there's so much uncertainty. How do you make sure that you're able to take advantage of these kinds of opportunities? So my personal path, so when I was at Auburn, I really did not know what I wanted to do. But I knew that I was pretty good in math. And so, after being in engineering, I don't think I want that. I was in pre-law, political science. I kept being rough. I decided, thankfully, to go ahead and just major in math. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't necessarily want to teach. I was thinking about law. So I was actually probably the only person in the history of Auburn. I had a pre-law math major. So that was my major. Went out to work, and again, I'll make this short, but I went to work for a bank. Look, with my mathematics background, you'll be a good systems analyst. Decided, you know what? I need to learn about business. So I get accepted into the MBA program at Georgia State. I get into Georgia State, and I keep getting pulled to sort of that more quantitative field. So I ended up not with the MBA, but a Master's of Science in Decision Sciences. I was accepted into the PhD program. I thought, I like academic atmospheres. This is great. Love the college life, get to learn, get to have fun. I'm liking this. Well, I met my husband, the guy that was going to be my husband. So now you have a choice, right? He was in the military, he did his undergraduate work at West Point, and he's going off to California. Coincidentally, as I'm in graduate school,
I'm working with this little defense contractor as a statistical analyst, kind of just a consultant coming in. Guess where they have an office? Monterey, California, where he's moving, right? So here's this choice. Could I have predicted that? Could I sit there, you know, as a sophomore at Auburn saying, you know what I need to do is meet a guy who's going to go to, you know, you're going to do that. Doesn't happen. So I made the decision, very heart-wrenching, to put my PhD on hold. Moved out to California, got married, blah, 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 had a child. My husband gets selected for going back to graduate school in the military. He's going to Northwestern, which is where he's from. I did marry a Yankee. So we go back, go to and so the first day he comes back from his orientation at Northwestern in the industrial engineering department, he comes back and says, "Oh my gosh, Kathy, you're the one that should be in this program. You would love it." So, you know, good decision on my part. I married a fellow who was a great guy and who encouraged me and said, "Kathy, you've got to get in there. You've got to apply. There's no way I can get into Northwestern. You've got to apply." Got a fellowship, full fellowship to get my PhD, and so I got my PhD from there. He took a job, sent him to Philadelphia. In the meantime, I was asked by Northwestern as a PhD student to teach a probability and statistics class. Never thought I'd like teaching, by the way. Couldn't imagine I'd want to be a teacher. In the class, I found, oh, I love this. Coincidentally, meet this woman on the beach in Gulf Shores, Alabama, by the way, who happens to work in healthcare, who says, "You know what, I need a process engineer to help us with some best practice work that we're doing." Now, again, don't know how you put that in your sort of career path plan, but that you meet somebody on the beach, you know, having a glass of wine. So, okay, I start working with her. So we moved to Philadelphia. I have some teaching experience. I don't have a tenure track position, as I thought I would, right? I've changed 5 times now what I thought my life would be. I have a friend from Northwestern who now has a tenure track position at the Wharton School, which is, I guess, probably one of the best business schools, you know, in the country or the world, and at the University of Pennsylvania, which is an Ivy League school. And she says, "You know what, maybe you can come over here and teach." No way can I teach at Wharton. Well, at the engineering school, they need somebody to teach probability and statistics. I know the guy who runs the systems engineering department. Okay, fine, I go over there. Loved it. The guy who was the systems engineering department. Again, the reason I'm explaining this, not because you really care about my life, but how these things I could never have predicted. This guy ends up moving over to the business school. This guy who's head of the systems engineering department ends up being dean of the business school. Now he's the president of University of Delaware. But Pat calls me up one day and says, "Kathy, I want you to come instead and teach at the Wharton School." "Oh, okay. And I want you to teach the MBA students." "Oh, okay." Very scary, by the way. And I won't even get into that. But this was like one of the top MBA programs in the country. And I'm thinking, they're gonna, somebody's gonna say, don't mind the man behind the curtain, right? They're gonna figure me out that I'm a fraud. My husband, once again, "Kathy, you've got to do this. You've got to, accept this. You know you can do this. This is the area of expertise, yada, yada." I do it. I end up getting, firmly in place at Wharton. I start doing some executive development because of my decision sciences background. And nowadays, do you know what I do? I go around and I do still teach a class or two at Wharton, but I also consult and teach in executive development courses. I work with executives across industries. Just this week, on Tuesday, this is kind of interesting, I was working with a group of CEO and 9 senior people from Sunoco, the oil company. So CEO and 9 of the top, the CFO, all the people in sort of the C-suite. Of those 10, just by the by, 1 woman. What do you think her position was? CEO. She was the CEO, and 9 white old geezers, men, that she was trying to corral. Fascinating woman. Guess what her background was? Chemistry, right? So when I think about the personal path, I want to just in a minute talk about how do we. I think it's great to have goals. We were sitting at our table and talking, and one high school student there said, I just don't know what I want to do, and I know some guy in my senior class, and he knows exactly what he wants to do and where he's going to school and what he's going to be doing 20 years from now. And all the rest of us said, yeah, let's talk to him about 10. Life is stochastic. Life is probabilistic. So how can we take advantage of that? I look at my Auburn experience and how the education and the experience here really helped me. So again, I'm not someone who was, I mean, I was a strong student. I was, you know, made sure I kept my grades up. But in terms of what I wanted to do, I truly did not know. But I tell you, you get an analytical background, a science background, a mathematics background. It gives you the basis to do almost anything you want to do. I have found that when I say to people, I got my bachelor's degree in theoretical mathematics from Auburn, after they sort of think, oh my gosh, she's got to be a boring person, that has opened so many doors for me. And it has trained me to be a great, I think, analytical thinker that you need in any kind of job that you ever hold. The perception of others. I mean, I know I'm probably not supposed to say this, but when you tell folks that you majored in science or you majored in mathematics, people automatically assume that you have a high level of intelligence and you have a great analytical mind. Rightly or wrongly, it opens the doors, I can't tell you. And then I think the importance of trying to combine that with other skills later, you know, as you go on in your career is very important as well. And communication, you know, the dean and I were talking, and Dr. Wooten a little earlier, you know, about, you know, when I work with all these senior executives, it's kind of cool. I get to meet such interesting people. I'm really blessed. Two common, I think, skills that these folks have. They're very analytical. Well, they have an analytical degree. They're very analytical, and they have great communication skills. So those two, I think, when you combine that analytical background with the interpersonal skills, I think is really, really important. But again, I can't say enough about how I think that my experience at Auburn has allowed me to do just this wonderful, wonderful work I do now. So what do I do now? I work with, as I said, executives in all sorts of industries. We talk about decision making and strategic decision making. We talk about how do you plan in conditions of uncertainty. And gosh, right now, no matter what kind of organization you're in, there's a lot of uncertainty. If you're a high school student trying to figure out what school you want to go to, there's tons of uncertainty. So I thought about, you know, what kind of tips could I give? And I thought, you know what, there is a real parallel between what I tell executives and really what I think are three really good tips to make sure that in our life we can take advantage of that stochastic nature. You know, a lot of us, somebody at our table said, I don't like change. She was real honest. A lot of us don't like, as creatures, as human beings, we hate change. But, you know, when you have a lot of uncertainty, by definition, it's going to change. So how can we embrace that and make the most of our lives? So the first thing I want to talk about is the first key success factor for optimization. That's another math joke, you know, optimization. Is I want to show you, I want to do a quick little exercise. I'm going to show you 3 playing cards for 3 seconds, and you guys have to tell me what it is, okay? So a little interactivity here. Y'all ready? 3 seconds. All right, what were they? Jack of Hearts, King of Clubs, 10 of Diamonds. Did anybody see anything differently? Jack of Hearts, King of Clubs, 10 of Diamonds. Yes. Oh, Jack of a red spade. Oh, Kath, come on. Why do we think that's a, I thought it was a heart, certainly. Why do we think it's a heart? Because it's red and it's round, right? If it's red and pointy, it has to be a diamond. Red and round means it's a heart. I've got 3 seconds. I've got to make a decision quick. And those of you that saw that it was a spade, you might not have gotten the other cards right because you're looking at it and saying, there's something funny about that, and I just know it. Right? But by golly, I'm going to get this right. Now, why do we think it's a heart? Because we've played cards all of our lives. And our experience tells us there are 4 suits, and red spade ain't one of them. Right? My point about this is, and I do this exact same thing. I did this with the CEO of Sunoco the other day. This little exercise, because it points out that it's great, whatever our experiences are, however old you are, you have a set of experiences, and that's wonderful. You have a lot to offer. but we must recognize we're limited. No matter who we are limited to what we've been exposed to. And so, while my experience base is really important, I see what I expect to see based on my experiences. So tip number one is, surround yourself with people that think differently from you. Surround yourself. I think about, again, I've been just so lucky in my life, and the kind of people I've met throughout my life and tried to get to know has really helped me see such a broader set of possibilities. So we can get very, very focused on, I'm a mathematician and this is what I'm going to do for my life, or this is the kind of environment I want to live in, and we miss out on so many opportunities. So number one, diverse group of folks around you. The second one is actually, one more quick exercise. I promise this is it. And let me just, this is kind of it. I want to play quickly a quick clip, if I can find it. You know, I've just gotten to the age where it's dark everywhere I go. It's like, can you turn up the lights? I can't find this really. Where the heck is it? There's that one. Here we go. What I want, some of you may have seen this. Now, why did it do that, do you reckon? This is what you call uncertainty. And you have to handle this. I want to show you this quick video, and I'm quite sure it's just coming back. Yes. Have you guys seen this before? How many of you have seen this video clip? Is it okay if I show it, those of you who've seen it, or just a few? Well, it's a video clip of some college students, actually. It was filmed at the University of Illinois. And as you can see, I'll try to make it bigger. It gets a little pixely. That's a technical term, but I'll make it bigger. But they're doing a basketball drill. And there's a team in black and a team in white. Okay, so there'll be some basketballs flying around in this drill. What I want you guys to do in this is to count the number of passes from a person in white to another person in white. So white to white passes. Now I'll give you a hint. If I pass the ball to you and it bounces, that's okay. It can bounce as long as we both have white shirts on, right? So white to white, it can bounce, it can, not bounce. I can't bounce it to myself. That doesn't count as a pass, dribbling. But white to white passes. Everybody ready? See, you didn't know you were going to have to work during this session. There we go. I'm going to make this a little bigger, even though it'll be pixely. It's only about 45 seconds. Ready, go. Okay, how many of you saw 12 passes? 13. 14. 15. Majority rules, it was 14, you're right. I could tell by some of the, some reaction. Did people see other things? What else did you see? What did somebody see? You saw somebody in white bounce the ball twice. What did somebody else say? A gorilla. So I see the War Eagle Supper Club still alive and well. Yeah, I must have been drinking at lunch. How many think they saw a gorilla? Okay, those of you who think they really have been sampling the spirits at the War Eagle Supper Club, I'm going to play this again for you. Don't count this time, just watch. Don't count. Is that frightening? Now that gorilla does not just unobtrusively step in. It bounds its chest in the middle of this. Wow, is that amazing? So why do we miss the gorilla? We're focusing, right? We missed the gorilla because we're focusing. I missed that. I got that stupid card thing wrong. I'm going to get this one right, by golly. I'm going to focus on the white. We tell our brains to focus, focus, focus. And oh, by the way, filter out anything that's a distraction. That would be anybody in black, even if it has hair all over it. I had one woman one time say, well, I saw some lady with long black hair. Yeah, she's got hair all over her body. The the point is, and certainly when I'm talking to executives, I'm talking about how we become very focused in our business. By the way, education is like this. I know we were having a conversation about using technology and how we can look at examples in all sorts of history where folks missed things on the periphery, those weak signals. But we can do this in our own personal lives. We get very, very focused on what we think we should do, and we miss opportunities. We miss these gorillas that are coming and going, right? Because by golly, we're focused. You think about a sniper team, you know, hunting or in the military. Sniper team, the sniper focuses just on the target and nothing else. But there's always a team for a reason, because there's always a spotter, sometimes called an observer, that looks around. So tip number 2, make sure you're looking around and noticing things. Don't get so very focused that you miss these opportunities around you. The third is actually, so surround yourself with different types of cards. Don't lose focus, but also pay attention to the periphery, right? Pay attention to what's out there. But the third is also, when I think about good outcomes, right? We all want to have good outcomes in our lives. There are really 3 sort of kinds of outcomes. One is, there are 3 factors, rather, that affect outcomes. And one is uncertainty. And I'm telling you, that's what life is, a big bag of uncertainty. And those of us innately who do not like change, this is especially difficult, but we want to think about how can we embrace that? How can we manage the uncertainty? I think having a good decision process, which I'd take, you know, about another 2 or 3 hours and y'all would get really bored, but this idea of being really analytical in your thinking, but also thinking broadly, getting people's opinions outside of your little world, get people with different decks of cards. But the third is, and this is exactly the slide I show to senior executives, we have to be able to execute on what we want. And what I mean by that is we have to go out and have the courage to actually do what we say we're going to do. We can't be afraid. You know, in business, one of the groups that I've worked with is the Royal Bank of Scotland. I don't know if you've heard of them, and if you have, it may not have been very good. It's not my fault, by the way, what happened to them. I just want to make sure y'all know that, because they're now 70% owned by the British government. Super at execution, not so good on managing their uncertainty, which is how they got in the predicament they're in. But in execution, I worked with them for well over a year, and I might even get an opportunity to go back and do some more work. Great organization in terms of being able to execute on their strategy. And I remember the first time I went, they're based in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I was over there maybe 2 years ago now. Got a chance to go over to Edinburgh, and I was meeting, they told me, oh, you know, some executives there from the manufacturing division, which, you know, manufacturing, I'm an operations gal, I'm thinking Toyota or widgets. But they're a bank, but they call all of their operations manufacturing, to just sort of give this signal, this is how good we are at execution. And they kept talking among themselves something about JFDI, and finally I said, what is JFDI? What division is this? Is that another business unit? They said, oh no, I can't do a Scottish accent, oh no, no. They said, JFDI, that means just effing do it. Now, you may not remember anything about me, but I tell you to remember JFDI. The spirit of JFDI, it works on spouses, kids, it works great. And if you're offended by the F, which it is sort of coarse language, I will tell you, and this is a true story, a month after my first visit to Edinburgh, my church was having a women's retreat. And the theme was, yeah, you know where this is going. And the theme was all about how do you have the courage to make the changes in your life you know you need to make, and get out of the boat, and you know, that whole sort of analogy. And they asked if I'd come speak, and I said, sure, of course I will. So, you know, I always like to bring in my business experience, and so you know, in business we call this execution. Why, you just got to go out there and do it, just in Edinburgh, and JFDI, and then I remembered my audience, which was the church ladies, so I changed it to just faithfully do it, and they thought, oh, I'm very spiritual. So, that's good decision making. So whatever you want the F to be, the spirit, I encourage you, just go, if you want to try something, JFDI, just faithfully, or F and go do it, right? Just get out there and try it, because I think that above all else we can be our own hindrance, our own barriers. So again, surround yourself with different kinds of people. Can't emphasize that enough. Don't lose focus, but also pay attention to what opportunities might be out there. And then JFDI. So thank you very much. Y'all have been great. I hope I stuck to my time, and War Eagle. Thank you. Thank you.